How we doing today, man? Really disappointing day, um, for many reasons. One, should have been an easier day than I really even made it. We should never even had as many issues and problems that we ended up having today in the trading day, anyways. Um, but we did, we didn't end the day super negative, luckily, and very luckily. But just one mistake after the other, and kind of the main idea that I want to talk about in this video is how really one day, it really can just throw away weeks of progress and, just a ton of progress. Because this, you know, we could have really lost a lot of money or lost the account today very easily. Um, and that's just disappointing to see because, again, you know, you have to always remember that one day, if you're not careful and you do dumb stuff, you can throw away all of the progress you spent working on. I mean, we've had really good weeks. We had 2 days last week where we took more than one trade a day, and other than that, we've only taken one trade for the last 6 weeks, every single day, and it's been working really well. And today I strayed away from it again. This time, just not happy with the loss I took and tried to make it back, and it's just not smart. And again, it's not even just frustrated with myself for that, but also frustrated for just ignoring the clear and obvious trades I should have been taking and tried to just force setups, and try and force my ideas into the market that weren't really there. Right now we have this was a solid long. This was the only long I should have been taking. I took 2 longs before I started completely revenge trading and shorting the market, which I'll go over. But this long actually makes more sense because we've been jumping all morning, and we've swept. We have an SMT with the low of the week, and we have an SMT with some other lows here. So this would actually have made sense for a long, and it would have been a better framework for longs than where we tried the trade, because we have an SMT with these lows now. So that's a very significant SMT after dumping all day. You get a very clean, strong fair value gap, and much different than the trade I end up taking. Very nice push, close, trades down to it, holds it, starts ripping higher. This would have been a very good trade to equilibrium of the smaller sell-off, which you would just hit there, or maybe the whole day you could look for equilibrium, if that's not a little bit of a push to take a lot of a move higher to get that. But regardless, this trade would have been playing out really well, and you'd be winning on this trade. So I either should have waited for that or not taken longs today. So bias was very simple today, and I fought it again. The thing that I've been really, I haven't really been talking about it too, or I have been talking about it, but I haven't really been, okay, how much I have to phrase this? One thing that we had this morning, which was the SMT with the weekly high. So this is Monday's high. This is the high of the week. In Q was already above high of week overnight. We got there about 3 a.m. and we spent some time up there. ES was way lower. Same with YM. If we pull up YM real quick, YM was also under the low of week. So this is the weekly low or weekly high, and we were way under it coming to morning. So YM and ES were both bearish, very bearish, and looking like they're displacing towards lows, right? So that's the first sign that we're probably bearish on the day, is that we have an SMT there. Also, too, if that wasn't enough, we had a bunch of low resistance liquidity overnight. We had a new week or new day opening gap. Not that you always have to revisit the new day opening gap, but when you have bearish confluences and you're above the new day gap, you can expect that that's low resistance liquidity below, which all the Asia session was. The Asia session was just low resistance liquidity, the target, and same with the London session. So a lot of stuff pointing bearish, and not even stuff that I couldn't spot myself. This is stuff I was seeing live time. I just chose to ignore it, and I'll show you where I took my first trade after I framed this. So we have the SMT here. Just mark these out and stack all the bearish confluences that I was looking at coming into the morning. I was paying attention to them, but that's why it's frustrating, because it's such a simple day. I almost took shorts right at market open because we had a move higher we made an SMT here on the lower time frame. So we have this high right here, and all these highs right around like 7, 6 a.m. and 8 a.m. We make an SMT with 8 a.m. high, and we right here. So this high doesn't get taken out. So we have an SMT on the higher time frame, and we have an SMT right at market open. We have that little Judas swing, and I almost took a short. I was saying that I wanted to take a short if we got a inversion on this 1 minute right here. So I wanted to take a 1 minute inversion right on this candle when we were printing lower. I would have taken a short right here. We end up displacing higher, just still above all-time highs and above the, pre-market highs. And at this point, just not really anticipating too much. ES is kind of going sideways. We then drop lower, and this is where I was watching the 5 minute at this time, and we had a very clear and obvious 5 minute inversion. I wanted to take this trade, and I should have. This was actually probably one of the better trades, or it was definitely the best trade of the day. It would either be a break-even trade, and the reason why it'd be break-even is because ES does sweep London low right here. So ES sweeps the London low on the 9:45 candle, which is the candle that we would entered on, which is why I was a little bit hesitant to take the trade, because we already swept London low. So I'm not upset about not taking that there, because again, we did sweep London low on the candle that I was looking to enter off of. But even if you did enter there, when ES or NQ swept this low, you could go break even, or you could have held your stop loss. So regardless, you wouldn't have lost on this trade. Maybe you just wouldn't have won, depending on how you use your stop loss. But that's fine, right? You don't lose, cool. Sometimes you'll win. So it's not really the end of the world either way. And at this point, I was paying attention to the 30-minute close. We had a very, very bearish 30-minute close. If you look at this wick, I always talk about these rejection wicks. We had double SMT, so we had SMT at these highs right here, SMT right here, and we had SMT at the all-time highs / weekly highs. So two bearish confluences with a very, very bearish rejection wick right here. This is just a very clear and obvious sign. That we're just not going back here, especially with the double SMT. So if we had highs above this wick, maybe wouldn't mean as much. But when we're above all-time highs, ES and YM are both lower. I'm just fighting the bearish. This is just a very bearish close. This is just showing me that we want to go towards the new day, got the opening price, the 1800 price, or just all of the session lows overnight, and maybe even just the previous session low. And that leads me to just my first long, which was just very bad, because this right here is a very clear Judas swing. We have a push up, immediately just inverse it. And what we've been seeing is that once we have this inversion and we really disrespect this area, you never see us resweep, and if we're bearish. So when we're bearish, we don't have to worry. Once we close below here, we don't have to worry about ever revisiting this first gap that we inversed, or closing above it, I guess. But we didn't even tag back into it. And then we just kept making lower highs the rest of the session. So my first trade, which again, mechanically isn't the worst thing ever, but it just was zoomed in and fighting the higher time frame narrative, which was just shorts. I saw that we had an SMT at these internal lows right here. NQ swept, ES didn't. And then we had a change state delivery on this down close candle that swept out the lows, and then we had a small fair value gap. I ignored the fact that this was such a small fair value gap because I really thought that we would at least resweep these relative equal highs. So I kind of just wanted to find any reason to get in long. Got in long around here. It just started pushing up and then never hit that point where I would have scaled and gone break even. And then just stopped me out. And I actually ended up having my stop loss underneath this low just in case we wanted to just drop down and take out the low and continue higher. So I actually ended up losing a little bit more than I should have, but it's still just 2 micros. So this trade wasn't horrible, but it's just not very good because, again, the higher time frame, everything's telling me to go short. It's nothing's telling me to go long there besides just the 1 minute time frame, and there's just no real reason to line that up. And we have no targets above. We have the high of the day, but that's not a real target because that was just the Judas swing. That was the fake out. That was generating the liquidity to sell short. So it's just not a very high probability target. It's not really a high quality target. And I really did also miss a nice short right here. We tagged back into the 5 minute fair value gap, and we could have taken a 1 minute short right here. trade to this low, or maybe went lower, but I'm sure that I would have taken something off at this low, depending on how many points that is. I probably would have taken one contract off and then went break even. So it would have been a small day regardless, but the risk was small. And again, it's just, you'll take base hits and then eventually take a big winning trade. So it's not really a matter about the size of the winner would have been. But then, okay, so what caused the rest of the day to go so bad? Well, it was just a lot of things combined. Obviously, we've been working so hard to get even on this account. So taking the first trade after being even on the account, losing, really frustrated me, because it's just frustrating, right? You put in all that time to get back to even, to not be down, and then you just lose on a trade that you look back and it's like, okay, well, this really wasn't a great trade. And I just wanted to make some back. I wanted to make it back on the day, and I convinced myself that this inversion, again, a really, really small gap that means nothing, and we had a close above these down close. I thought that for sure we were just keeping the SMT in place. So this low and this low, the SMT was still in place. I was like, you know what, I'm going to give it one more try. And then at this point, trade chopped around, it moves, pushes higher. Right here on this exact candle at 1040, it doesn't actually look horrible. It looks like it might be starting to become a buy, but again, when you have the higher time frame narrative against you, you're just fighting the trend. So I was fighting these bearish order blocks. We were already underneath this resistance of price where we were chopping. We broke above, we broke below, and then we started holding support there. I just, again, it's not a high quality long. Is it like the most outrageous idea to go long there? I mean, no, it's not like the worst idea ever, but it's just, again, we don't have any real clear targets. At best, I'm playing like a rebalance towards these highs to then continue lower, right? This would be a very nice short to have came up here, swiped these highs, and then ran lower. So I end up losing again, and at this point, I just completely lose my head and just start looking for shorts towards the new day opening gap, because at this point, I was just like, okay, I'm clearly, when I saw this 5-minute reject, or when I saw this break lower, I was just scalping small moves, and then eventually just made back the money I lost on this little flush lower right here. Right when we came up to this gap, closed lower, failed to go higher. When we started breaking through this fair value gap, I got in and then just caught the last little bit I needed. So I took, I believe, 7 trades. Yeah, 7 trades. And so we took the 2 trades, and then we just kept scalping on the move lower to make back the money. So again, it's one of those things, though, that why I say one day can run all the progress, because if I just stepped away when I was down the 130, 40, 50 bucks, whatever I lost on the first trade, I could have just stepped away. And obviously we're in a better balance. Our current balance is better off because we kept trading, but not because of doing it the right way, right? We could have easily have just lost hundreds or blown the account, or who knows, right? You could have, like, now in hindsight, yes, I'm better off technically by dollar amount. I'm better off, but not actually better off in terms of trading, in terms of, practicing good psychology, practicing, things that make you a good trader. Like, I'll never succeed at trading if I continue to just have days like this where I'm doing what I don't need to do. So it should have just been a $150 loss today, stepped away, been done with the day. Because you can come back from a $150 loss. It's not the end of the world to have had taken this trade here, right? If I just step away, because cool, sometimes I'm just reading the market wrong and just convince myself of something that's not right. But that's why I put in the 1 trade a day to protect myself so I don't go back in. Because a lot of times when you get back into the trade in that same direction that lost, it's probably not going to work. Because if you took a really A-plus setup in a direction and it loses, you're probably on the wrong side, even if you get another setup. Because, one, your setup should be the great setup. So if you're waiting and patient, you're taking that 1 trade, it really should be a good setup. So if that fails, you just trust the fact that you know that you're finding good stuff and that you don't need to take another one, because odds are you're more likely to lose the second trade than you are to win the second trade if you're going in the same direction and nothing really changed in the overall structure. So again, this loss, was it the best trade? No. Can I learn from the trade? Yes. Was there things that there was definitely things that were telling me I shouldn't go long here. But regardless, it doesn't matter because you take a loss, and who cares which reasons why you lost, learn from it, but then you step away so that you don't have the chance to run your account, to blow all the progress you make. And that's what I should have done. But I just, with everything, getting back to even, then immediately losing the next trade after working so hard to get it back from all the drawdown, it just was frustrating. And that's what caused me, and again, it's not like an excuse, but that's just where my mind was at that led me to want to keep trading, was, wow, I spent 6 weeks trying to get back to even, and then I've one trade bring me back, and then I took another trade, and then I was down $300, and it was just really frustrating because, again, I spent so much time just to break my rules and then dig a hole that I shouldn't have dug. 150 loss, fine. We took one trade, didn't work out, wasn't a great trade, whatever. Come back the next day. But instead, I took another trade that still wasn't good and lost more, and that just really put me over the edge because it was hard. It was hard to sit there and take a second loss when I didn't need to take a second loss. And at that point, I don't know, you guys have probably been there too sometimes maybe, where you just take some losses and it's just like, you're not going to be able to stop unless you get even or the account's gone. And that's just where my head went to. And it's disappointing because I thought I was really far past that. We've had a really, really good 6 weeks. We've had two days where we've slipped up and taken extra trades. But again, you can't slip up because one slip up can run everything. So it's not that, we have 6 trading weeks. That's 30 trading days, right? So 2 of the days we broke our rules, and that's 28 divided by 30. So 93% of the days we did exactly what we were supposed to do. Followed our rules, took one trade, didn't do anything dumb, didn't over leverage, nothing like that. But just the 7% of the day, the 2 days that I didn't follow my rules, could have, blown the account. And that's the key, is that I'm not going to get frustrated with myself and try and think I'll never succeed because, it is frustrating. I have sand in my charger. That's annoying. But I'm not going to get frustrated and let myself get super, super discouraged. I just have to learn from this because I did put in so much work in the last 6 weeks. I did battle back from being in drawdown. You guys have seen me battle back in drawdown, and that I'm proud of that still. So I need to remember that and say, look, I'm not going to – we need to get back to the one trade a day. Need to learn to accept the losses because – I can have a great 6 weeks, but if I'm going to have 6 great weeks and then lose it all in one day every time, I'll never succeed. So, again, take today as a learning lesson, which is what I'll try and do, or which is what I will do. And, but there's no point to sit there and let it keep me afraid tomorrow because this was in my control, right? This was in my control. Why be afraid of something that I can control? I can control not doing this. So I don't need to be afraid of over trading. Man, all messed up. I don't need to be afraid of over trading. I don't need to be afraid of taking really big losing days because I don't need to ever take a big losing day. I can take one trade, control my risk, and step away. And that's what can happen. So again, like I said, I don't need to be so afraid of these types of days because I don't need to be afraid of monsters under my bed, so to speak, because I am the one in control of blowing my account. I'm the one in control of taking my trades. So it can't happen. It can't happen. I can't have a day where all goes away in one day because I'm working too hard to let one day. I have 93% of the days I follow my rules perfectly. We've taken 2 losses in these last 6 weeks that I stepped away from. Didn't even think about taking another trade. But for whatever reason, the last 2 times I took a break-even trade and I took a losing trade, and I started a revenge trade afterwards. And that, again, just can't happen. So, yeah, I guess it's a good reminder for people watching too that maybe used to struggle with revenge trading. You really can't slip up. You can't slip up one time. That's really what I'm trying to emphasize. The one time you make the mistake that's it. That's like everything. It doesn't matter how good you've been doing for the last however long. You're always just one day away from ruining a lot of progress that you work hard for. So I wish I didn't have to make this video. I wish I didn't have to talk about that, right? Because, you know, it's not a, it makes me look bad, right? But, and that's frustrating. It's not fun to get onto the camera and talk about, just slipping into bad habits and slipping into just degenerate trading. But, but this is my reality of my trading, of what I need to learn and what I'm doing. So I would love to have sat on here and just say, oh yeah, we just took a break even trade today, right? Just made $6. Could have easily come on and said that I just, oh, we took this 5 minute short here. It made SMT, so I went break even, got stopped at break even. Oh well. But what good is that, right? What good is that? So of course I don't want to sit on here and make this video. Of course people are gonna leave negative comments, but what good is that gonna do, right? For me to sit here and try and what am I protecting myself from? People online that have nothing to do with me in real life, no, right? So just, and this is good. Like, regardless, it's important. I wouldn't say this is good, but I would say this is important because it is important to see this. Obviously, we got very, very lucky that we didn't just blow the account today. So, obviously I'm happier than if I would have blown the account. But the things I did to get to this point today are no different than the things that would have been going on to get me to blow the account. So I had a horrible day. I deserved to have blown my account today, but I didn't. So we're taking it as a opportunity to come back and keep going. Because, again, like, I could have blown my account, but at the end of the day, I should have never been in that situation. And that's the key to learn from. It's like, I don't have to be afraid of blowing my account in one day because it should never happen. I should be able to sit here and say, I will never blow an account in one day because that should never happen. So I don't need to be scared of a day like this happening again because it can't. It won't happen again because I am in control. And I need to remember I'm the one in control of the buttons I push and the decisions I make. And if I take a bad trade like I took this morning and I fight the trend, step away because I'm not seeing the market well, or I'm forcing my idea and I'm probably going to trade emotional on the next trade. So just step away and come back and make that money back. I could have easily made the $150 back the very next day or the next trade I took, right? But that's the last piece that I struggle with, is being able to just take a loss, because it's hard to step away after a loss because you don't know when the next good trade is going to come. You don't know if you're going to lose another one on the next day. And that for me is still tricky to navigate because I've had a really good 6 weeks, but I've been winning almost everything I've touched. So it makes it easier, right? It's easy to fall one trade when every day you're winning. It's not as easy when you win, lose, lose, win, right? It's not as easy when things aren't going your way right away. So I just have to learn to trust the process, trust the rules, trust my trading edge, trust that I can find good trades, and just let things be, right? Stop trying to take points, so just take profits so quick. Stop trying to move to break even so quick. Stop trying to take my targets so shallow. Just let things do their thing. Trust the fact that over time I can find more winners than losses, and just accept the fact that it might take a while to get to where I want to get to. But as long as I do the right things, you're improving and you're getting better. So today was a massive step backwards. But we got lucky. We survived it. So, not because of anything I did, pure luck. And yeah, well, what can I say? Come back tomorrow and try and be better. Tomorrow is FOMC, so I might just take the day off because it's FOMC morning. So I probably will take the whole day off tomorrow, which is probably fine anyways. I need to probably just take a whole day off and not trade it. And just come back on Thursday because, yeah, maybe I take Wednesday and Thursday off and then trade NFP Friday. I don't know, but I'll probably more than likely just not trade tomorrow, which, might be for the better. So, yeah, again, I wish I was I wish I didn't have to make this video, but it's not always going to just go straight uphill, right, in the trading journey, because I'm, we have a great 6 weeks, and we have 2 days that were bad, right? That's 2 days. I used to have a bad day every other day. So the fact that we have one bad day in 6 weeks, 2 bad days in 6 weeks, I'll take that. That is improvement. That's all that we're trying to do is improve. But again, with trading, it doesn't really matter. The one bad day is all that matters. And many of you guys know that time and time again. One of the guys, Blazin, you guys have seen him. He knows that just as much as anyone. That one bad day can wipe out great trading. And if you want to see a real example of people that are really doing well that can have that happen, look at his YouTube channel. He's a great trader. One of his older videos, so he's probably well past this now. But watch his videos there. He had five express accounts, all, like $10,000 in profit, and blew them all in one day. So clearly he was great at trading to make $10,000 across 5 accounts. But one day, where you just can't step away, where you just get too emotional and the market will eat you up. It looks for those days. So if you can learn to never have those days, how many of you guys have blown an account by doing it the right way, by taking your trades, by, not making any mistakes? You probably would be a lot more successful, right? I was just, obviously I'm kind of like being sarcastic. You'd probably be a lot more successful if you just followed all your trading rules. Right? So it's you have to remember that like most people don't blow accounts because they followed all their rules. Most of the time you have 1 or 2 bad days that cause you to lose too much than you should, and then you can't make it back. That's why most people blow accounts. I've never personally blown an account the right way, right? By just taking my setup, by holding my trades properly, by not revenge trading. Not saying it's impossible to happen, but I just, that's how you should lose accounts. You should lose them the right way. You shouldn't lose them gambling. You shouldn't lose them in 1 day or 2 days. It should happen because you're just on a bad streak of variance in your trading. And you'd probably find that when you trade and follow your rules, you probably do a lot better. You might even be getting payouts, and you might even be profitable. So it's just frustrating to slip, but that is it, man. I'll see you guys probably not tomorrow. I really don't think I'm going to trade tomorrow. And, yeah, Alpha Futures and Apex. I'm pretty sure Apex is still on 90% off. Not 100% sure, but I know Apex or Alpha Futures is doing the zero plan, zero activation fee, 20% off on that account until the end of July. So you have about 1 or 2 more days here to get those accounts. And I appreciate anyone that uses the code Diego for any of those accounts. And yeah, so they're running those until the end of July. Both accounts are doing deals. So yeah, man, I appreciate you guys watching. Let me know how you guys did today. I'm sure you guys caught great shorts because it was very clear. I was just fighting it. So let me know how you guys did, and subscribe if you haven't, man. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.